Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you're having a lovely time stuffing your face with turkey and pretending to enjoy Aunt Barbara's dodgy trifle. Oh, and by the way, your prime minister is politically dead. Yeah, Keir Starmer is finished. Done. Kaput. A walking corpse in a nice suit. But here's the twist that'll ruin your festive cheer even more than realizing you've got to go back to work next week. The people waiting to replace him, they're somehow worse. I know, you didn't think that was possible. Welcome to UK Political Insight, where we bring you the kind of news that makes you want to emigrate, but you can't afford to because of the cost of living crisis. Let's dive into this absolute disaster of a situation, shall we? So let's start with the obvious. Keir Starmer is having the worst Christmas since someone invented Brussels sprouts. While the rest of us are arguing about whether Yorkshire puddings belong on Christmas dinner, Starmer's dealing with the fact that the entire country thinks he's rubbish at his job. And I don't mean a few people. I don't mean half the country. I mean 76%. 76% of the British public, according to YouGov polling this month, think he's performing badly as Prime Minister. That's not just bad. That's catastrophically, historically, lettuce-outlasting-Liz-Truss levels of bad. Think about that for a second. 3/4 of the country have looked at Starmer's performance and gone, nah, not for me, thanks. After 18 months in charge, barely 1 in 6 people hold a favorable opinion of him. 1 in 6! You've got better odds of enjoying a British summer than liking Keir Starmer. His net favorability score is -54. -54. That's not a rating. That's a cry for help. That's the political equivalent of your bank account after Christmas shopping. The man's approval rating has more red in it than a butcher shop window. And here's the kicker. This is the lowest favorability he's recorded during his entire time as Labour leader. Not opposition leader, mind you, Prime Minister. The bloke actually won an election, got the keys to number 10, and has somehow managed to become less popular than when he was just standing at Prime Minister's questions getting roasted by Boris Johnson. That takes talent. Dark, terrible talent, but talent nonetheless. 4 times as many people view him unfavorably as favorably. 4 times. If this was a football match, they'd have called it off at halftime out of mercy. But it gets better, or worse, depending on your perspective and how much you enjoy political chaos. The public knows he's finished. His own party knows he's finished. And deep down, in that place where politicians keep their actual thoughts buried under layers of media training and forced smiles, Starmer knows he's finished too. The man's a dead turkey walking, if you'll pardon the seasonal reference. His position is untenable. That's not opinion, that's just mathematical reality. You can't govern a country when 3/4 of it thinks you're doing a terrible job. Well, you can try, but it's like trying to drive a car with 3 flat tires. Technically possible, but absolutely nobody's having a good time. Now, you might be wondering, how did we get here? How did Labour go from a massive election victory to this absolute shambles in less than 2 years? Well, buckle up, because it's been quite the journey. The country, according to pretty much everyone except die-hard Labour members who are currently sticking their fingers in their ears and humming very loudly, has actually regressed since the general election. Regressed. We've gone backwards. It's like we've invented political time travel, except instead of going back to fix mistakes, we're just making new ones that somehow feel old and tired at the same time. The government's time in charge has been, and I'm being generous here, shambolic. It's been littered with broken promises like a teenager's bedroom is littered with empty crisp packets. There have been humiliating U-turns on practically everything. 1 minute they're doing one thing, the next they've completely reversed course. And all the while they're acting like this was the plan all along and we're the idiots for not understanding their 4-dimensional chess strategy. Spoiler alert, it's not chess. It's more like watching someone play checkers badly while insisting they're actually winning at Monopoly. And then there's the fundamental approach to economics that seems to underpin everything this government does. The unshakable belief that taxing people who work themselves into the ground so you can shower people who don't work with handouts is somehow a sustainable path forward. Now, before anyone jumps down my throat, I'm not saying people who need help shouldn't get it. I'm saying that when your entire economic model relies on punishing the people keeping the economy afloat while simultaneously making it less attractive to work, you might want to rethink your strategy. It's like trying to grow a garden by cutting down all the trees for firewood. Sure, you'll be warm for a bit, but good luck getting any shade next summer. So, Labour's got a problem. Actually, Labour's got several problems, but let's focus on the big one. How do you combat Reform UK, which is absolutely surging in the polls under Nigel Farage? Remember Farage? Of course you do. He's like that relative who keeps showing up at family gatherings even though nobody invited him, except half the family has decided they actually quite like him now. And then there's the Conservatives under Kemi who've somehow managed to rejuvenate themselves despite being the party everyone voted out less than 2 years ago. It's like watching your ex get hot after you broke up with him. Annoying doesn't even begin to cover it. This leaves Labour with 4 choices, 4 potential replacements for Starmer, 4 people waiting in the wings to take over. And here's the absolutely brilliant part. All of them would probably do better than Wooden Keir, who has about as much gravitas as a wet cardboard box and the charisma of a self-service checkout. But the question isn't who's best able to lead the country anymore. Oh no, we're past that. We're in damage control mode. The question now is who's best able to arrest a seemingly irreversibly negative poll rating? Who can stop the bleeding? Who can convince the British public that Labour isn't a complete disaster? It's an impossible job, especially when the entire country is experiencing collective buyer's remorse. We're all looking at our ballot papers from the last election like they're receipts for something we definitely shouldn't have bought after 3 pints. Now, waiting in the shadows with their knives sharpened and their leadership speeches prepared are 4 Labour lieutenants, 4 potential successors, 4 disasters in the making. Because here's the thing about this situation. It's not a matter of if this coup will happen, it's just when. The consensus among political insiders, the people who spend their days lurking in Westminster corridors and their nights briefing journalists, was to wait until after the May elections. That's when Labour will presumably be dealt a devastating blow at the ballot box, at least in the places where votes haven't been conveniently postponed by what some are calling a shameless socialist rabble. Harsh? Maybe. Accurate? Well, that's for you to decide. But plot twist, it now seems likely the coup will come sooner, before May, possibly before spring, maybe even before we've all recovered from our Christmas hangovers and remembered what day of the week it is. The vultures are circling, and they're getting impatient. So who are these 4 potential prime ministers? Let's meet the candidates, shall we? It's like Love Island, except instead of looking for romance, they're looking for power, and instead of being young and attractive, they're politicians. Actually, that's nothing like Love Island. Moving on. First up, we've got Angela Rayner. Remember her? Former deputy PM who was forced to quit over unpaid stamp duty. She spent her time in what can only be described as exile plotting her return, and boy has she been busy. Rayner is the darling of the left. The unions love her, Labour MPs adore her. What's left of the membership, those brave souls who haven't cancelled their direct debits yet, think she's brilliant. She's got support, she's got backing, she's got momentum. And if you think the welfare state is bloated and insane now, just wait. Just you wait until Rayner gets her hands on the budget. It'll be like Christmas every day, except the presents are all benefits and someone else is paying for them. Specifically, you're paying for them. Then there's Wes Streeting, Health Secretary. Ambitious doesn't even begin to cover it. This man looks at the Prime Minister's job like most people look at the last chocolate in the box. He wants it. He's used the junior doctor strikes to reinforce his credentials as a future leader, sticking the knife into what he calls militant medics who gambled with patients' lives in pursuit of yet more inflation-busting pay rises. Bold move, controversial move, very Wes Streeting move. Problem is, he's unlikely to succeed in the tilt for the top job, mainly because he's seen as too right-wing by the Labour Party membership. Yes, you read that right, too right-wing for Labour. In a party that's supposedly moved to the center, Wes Streeting is considered dangerously conservative. His best bet for staying in a high-profile position is probably as Rayner's chancellor, assuming she gets the top job. Imagine that duo. Actually, don't. It's Christmas. You don't need nightmares. Next up, we have Shabana Mahmood, Home Secretary. And here's where it gets really interesting. Mahmood has been, and this is the word being used, effectively anointed by former Prime Minister Tony Blair. You remember Blair, Iraq War, Cool Britannia, the man who won 3 elections and then became so unpopular that Labour spent years pretending he didn't exist. Well, he's back, in advisory form, and he's picked Mahmood as his chosen one. She speaks like a conservative, apparently. Her words, if not always her actions, on tackling the immigration crisis have positioned her as a potential surprise choice for leader. Here's the fascinating bit. Mahmood is more popular with the Tories than her own party does. Let that sink in. The opposition likes her more than her own team does. Her hardline asylum reforms, the tough talk on immigration, it's all going down brilliantly with conservative voters while simultaneously causing support to hemorrhage among Labour members. It's like being the star player that the away fans love but your home crowd boos. Incredibly awkward position to be in. And then there's the elephant in the room. Many people, and we're talking quietly here, remain unconvinced that Labour, let alone Britain, is ready to be governed by a Muslim woman, which, as the article points out, speaks volumes about the left. For a party that prides itself on diversity and inclusion, there seems to be a surprising amount of hesitation about actually following through when it counts. Funny how that works. And finally, incredibly, unbelievably, we have Ed Miliband. Yes, that Ed Miliband, the bacon sandwich guy, the man who led the party until he threw in the towel in 2015 after David Cameron won a majority. Remember that? The Conservatives got an actual majority after 5 years of coalition with the Lib Dems, and Miliband decided that was his cue to exit stage left. But here's the thing. Miliband remains hugely popular within the party, if not in the country. There's a distinction there. Labour members love him. The British public, not so much.